In the world we live in, it can be really challenging to stay on top of our health and even more difficult to enjoy taking care of it. There are so many factors at play, from our socioeconomic status to the healthcare systems available, even to our genetics. So many of these things are beyond our control, but there is one thing in our direct control: the healthy habit of exercise. But to want to exercise, we kind of have to like it a little bit, which means that liking exercise is probably one of the most important things we can learn to do for ourselves. It impacts our lives so profoundly that it is crucial to learn how to foster a little bit of affection for it. So how do we fix this? Well, good news, you've already accomplished a significant part of the mental work needed to begin liking fitness. You're reinforcing the idea in your mind just by clicking on this video. But I'll explain a little bit more on that later. Let's get started. As many of you know, exercise is really good for us. But since many of us have had the benefits of exercise blasted through our ears for years, I'm going to quickly run through this next bit. But it is really important to get a reminder every once in a while.
So consistent exercise, specifically weight training, provides us with a load of benefits, ranging from increased bone density to reduced risk of many cancers and cardiovascular disease. So it enhances your quality of life, allowing you to do things for longer, like petting a dog on the ground or maybe even picking up your grandkids in the future. These things are really simple, but they're so important. Just imagine not being able to carry your groceries up the stairs. It's such a fundamental part of life, and exercise helps us do that, supporting ourselves for longer, supporting our independence for longer. Exercise also boosts your mental well-being, especially your confidence. Besides the ones I've already mentioned, exercise can also prevent chronic diseases and can even put some already existing ones in remission.
But even knowing all of these benefits, about 80% of adults don't get enough exercise. Often when referring to not doing exercise, we use words like feel. We don't feel like doing it, or we don't feel strongly enough about it. Or maybe we feel confused about the topics surrounding exercise. Or we just don't feel like it's important in the grand scheme of things. Or maybe we even feel fear towards exercise because of a past experience. So why is this? Well, the root of the issue actually comes back down to our emotions and our psychology surrounding exercise in general. All right, knowing that, let's see if we can get you caring a little bit more about fitness. Let's start with your why. Why you, and you specifically, should exercise and begin to change your emotions towards fitness. So you've probably heard of the phrase, know your why, but what does this actually mean? So in the context of exercise, your why is the fundamental reason that you choose to exercise. It's the driving force that pulls you out of bed on those chilly mornings and motivates you to persevere even when you're weary. Here are some examples of a why. Managing stress and enhancing mental health. Pursuing better physical health to ward off lifestyle diseases, the ability to engage in a social activity like hiking, or achieving a specific fitness goal like running a marathon or winning a medal at a competition. So however, not all of these whys or motivations are of the same kind. Research identifies two primary types of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation arises from external rewards or the avoidance of punishment. In contrast, intrinsic motivation stems from the inherent pleasure of an activity. It's rewarding in itself. When you do something like weightlifting or running, it just feels good. It feels satisfying in itself. However, we can have both, and I think most people have both, or it's almost essential to have both. But intrinsic motivation has propelled me further. Recognizing its significance and working towards that kind of motivation can be super transformative. But I believe the background to all of that is your why. So in essence, when we look back at the whys I previously mentioned, the first two would be considered intrinsic. They relate to your personal well-being and satisfaction. Fourth is strictly external. It's driven by social benefit. The fourth could be a mix of both. It depends on the individual's specific reasoning behind running a marathon or competing. However, for intrinsic motivation to thrive, there are some certain conditions which need to be met. A well-cited paper published in 2000, link in the description, suggests that we need clear direction or knowledge when it comes to the subject, autonomy, competence, and relatedness. So when these three psychological needs are fulfilled, we're more inclined to pursue new skills and activities, including exercise. So personally, I have a little bit of both. I absolutely love getting a new pair of fitness shorts or a new dumbbell as a reward to myself every couple of months. But I also have just an innate love for movement, for well-being, and preventing disease down the line. Preventative health both mental and physical. And these are intrinsic factors, and if I'm able to exercise, there's almost no way that I wouldn't because of these. It's a powerful cocktail. There is evidence to suggest that negative emotions can also be powerful motivators. From my observation, the fear of losing a competition may drive someone to train more rigorously, but it also could drive someone else to just not compete at all, and therefore train less. So you let me know if negative emotion is something that drives you or not. For me personally, when I think about a future where I'm not able to exercise, I get a negative emotion. And that is a strong driver that also continues to encourage me to work out. Okay, remember when I mentioned by clicking on this video that you were on the right track? Well, that has to do with the next concept, the mental stages of exercising. Let me quickly describe what each of them are and see which category you fit in. First stage is the pre-contemplation stage. If you're at this stage, you're probably not even considering exercise. Or maybe they don't see the benefits, or it doesn't feel important, or perhaps there's some kind of fear attached to it, a negative experience, or maybe the knowledge needed and the challenges accompanying starting an exercise program is just too overwhelming. Next up, we have the contemplation stage, and if you're watching this, then maybe you're in this stage or you've moved past it. In this stage, you've maybe acknowledged the importance of exercise and you're considering integrating it into your life. You're also planning to start exercising within the next 6 months. Next up, we have the preparation phase. In this phase, you're planning to begin exercising soon and have began to take steps towards it. Maybe this is buying new gym shoes, researching workouts, or just setting a start date. You might even already be kind of sporadically exercising. Next up, we have the action phase, and in this phase you finally began consistently working out, but it has been less than 6 months. In the action phase, the goal is to try and make it sustainable, which leads me into the next phase, the maintenance phase. This is the ultimate objective and the phase we want to maintain for as long as possible. In this phase, exercise has become habitual and you've been doing it for 6 months or more consistently. So you can actually relapse from these stages and head back to the pre-contemplation phase or the contemplation phase. That's why it's so important to know which stage you're in. Once you know, the steps towards the next stage or towards maintenance can become even more clear. But remember, everyone progresses at a different pace through these stages, so be gentle with yourself and enjoy the journey. So now that we've covered your why and what mental stage of the stages of change model that you're in, my goal is to provide you with a few tips to help you progress through the stages and make maintaining your exercise habit easier. So let's get started with the action. What can we actually do to ensure our success? So here are my best personal tips which help me progress and stick to my exercise habit. So number one, set SMART goals. So SMART stands for being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and having time-bound fitness goals. Having these kind of clear goals will help guide your workouts effectively. It helps put my why into action. It helps to have a mix of both progress and outcome goals as well. Outcome goals focus on the end result, whereas progress goals focus on the process and the journey. So the outcome goal could be running a marathon, whereas the progress goal could be just setting an allotted time to run every day to hit the goal of running the marathon. Okay, number two, and this one's really important, recognize your limits. Avoid overreaching. Embrace kind of a forgiving attitude and enjoy what you achieved on the day. If I set too high of a goal, then there's no way I can achieve it. I just get overwhelmed and I push it aside and I just procrastinate more and more. So for example, setting a goal of a 5-minute yoga session instead of like a 1-hour class. That 5-minute chunk just helps you get on the mat without that daunting 1-hour time block in front of you, creating that like mental friction to start. Number three, I only compare me to me. It's really difficult to do this, but I found the most enjoyment when I started just comparing my previous personal record to where I am currently. There's no reason comparing to anyone else because our bodies are totally different, they look different, they react differently, we all have different genetics. So just focusing on you provides you the most rewarding and clear progression. Next up, I have a video covering this a little bit more, but consider your willpower. So if you want to check out the video, I'll leave a link somewhere up here and in the description, but our willpower is drained by so many different things. And once I took into account what was draining my willpower, I was able to find or save willpower for my workout session. Because of willpower, I also decided to do my workouts at lunchtime because I knew by the end of the day, my willpower would be completely depleted and it would be even harder to try and work out. So now I spend my time over lunch, and it's one of the most enjoyable things. I get to move my body, I get time away from sitting at a desk, and so I'm super motivated to go and do it without having the tiredness at the end of the day weighing me down. Okay, this probably is number one, but learn to prioritize fitness. Health is foundational. Never feel guilty for carving time out for your well-being. At the very beginning, I used to feel really guilty for taking a big chunk of my day out just to work out. It felt almost like wasted time, especially because I was doing things wrong, I didn't see progression, and there were so many other factors, but one of them was that it just felt like I could use my time better. But in reality, there's nothing that you could use your time better on, because literally if you don't have your health, you can't even work or socialize. I lost track of the numbers, but it says number 6. So number 6, find joy in the simplicity. Identify activities you like that you've maybe tried in the past or something which looks interesting, and just stick to that one thing for a little while. Don't worry about the rest, avoid the overwhelm and the mental friction that is associated with finding the perfect thing. Just focusing on one thing at a time, seeing if it's really for you, and if it's not, trying a different thing can just help bring a little bit of ease. You don't have to try everything at once. Number 9, convenience is key, and this ties in a little bit with willpower. To make it a little easier for me to weightlift at the beginning, I invested in fixed weight dumbbells. And I left my yoga mat out, and I eventually went on to build a home gym. The home gym was super visible. The mat being out was in my way. The dumbbells were constantly looking me in the eye. So it actually made it really, really difficult to opt out of exercise. Now I know a home gym or buying dumbbells isn't something everyone can do. Something like choosing a close gym with a short commute, or laying your running shoes, tennis racket, or weightlifting clothes the night before can make a huge difference and reduce those barriers to entry for you. Next up, consistency over intensity. Instead of kind of promising to yourself you're gonna go super hard every single time, the promise should be to consistently show up for whichever exercise or movement practice you decide on. Just keep the momentum going, stay active. There's a reason that Duolingo really tries to keep that streak going. It's powerful. It's like a mental note that you can't release this streak you've signed yourself up for. This kind of leads in from the previous one, but cultivate positive self-talk. So if you're having a bad day, then just be gentle with yourself. You really don't want to make exercise punishing. You want to try and enjoy it as much as you can. So if you're not able to hit that weightlifting PR, or if you're just running for a shorter amount of time on a given day because you're tired, then just be gentle with yourself. I used to be so hard on myself when I performed badly at the gym, missed the gym, or even when my physique wasn't looking as good as I wanted it to. And this actually stopped me from returning to the gym. There are so many other factors which impact the level of energy you have when you sign up for the gym, the level of fatigue and your performance on a given day. You don't know what is impacting your session. Just showing up is better than not at all. So learning to be gentle, to talk to myself in a loving way, helped me to stay consistent, to see this as a long haul process. So next up, social pressure and accountability. So having people that you work out with, or having like a coach or a teacher or a class to go to, adds so much support to help you stick to your goals. There's like an external social pressure. You don't want to disappoint the people who know that you're working out or are expecting you to show up to your class. And it just makes it almost like a non-negotiable. Like, okay, I've set this up with someone, there's an agreement here, I need to respect their time, I'm going to show up for the class. It'd be super powerful, and having a coach or a teacher just makes the path of knowledge much more visible. You know what direction you're going in, and that also reduces friction. Next up, surround yourself with movement-loving people, and this kind of links in again with the previous point. Passion can be incredibly contagious. Surrounding myself with people who enjoy yoga and weightlifting and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I used to do it was probably like the best hack to learn to enjoy fitness. We're social creatures, and our community, our friends, our family, and the people we interacted with in our past have a tremendous effect on our habits and well-being. Seek super active people, fit people, people which motivate you, which leads me again into my next point. Seek inspiration. Talk to fitness enthusiasts. Talk to your friend who loves hiking every single weekend and ask him what he loves about hiking, what is motivating him to continue to do it. And this one can be, I guess, a little controversial, but look up influencers which motivate you as well. The right kind of influencers will make you feel good, will provide you with education, with information, which may help to inspire you, declutter your mind, and again, reduce your knowledge gap. but really make sure they make you feel good. This one's really important, but difficult. We want to try and challenge our negative experiences with exercise. So I had a few negative experiences and emotions linked to working out, but I am to question why I have these feelings. Why did I dislike the discomfort of it? Why did it make me feel bad? And through this process, I was able to recognize things which were holding me back and shift my perspective on it. For example, weightlifting was super scary and it felt really bad at the start. And that was because it had an intense demand on my nervous system that I wasn't used to. My muscles, of course, too, but the demand on my nervous system and my mental state was even more profound. But over time, I learned to enjoy this feeling of pushing myself to the limit, to really testing my strength. And that only happened when I questioned why I didn't like it in the first place, why this felt very scary and dangerous to me. It was also the same kind of situation when I started handstanding. I was scared to topple over, but eventually I learned that it was safe, I had an escape, and it was actually a load of fun once I got past the fear. This can be really difficult, but just starting to question stuff helps a lot. Next, reward yourself. And this one really helps because it adds in a little bit of that extrinsic motivation alongside your newfound intrinsic motivation. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but you can enhance your exercise routine with treats like new exercise gear, new workout clothes, with your favorite playlist, maybe going out for your favorite smoothie after the workout. Just little things which make you look forward to doing the exercise. Pairing it with something like this, especially if it's with your favorite songs, can really help build the energy, build the I can't wait feeling to get going and exercise. Did that sentence make sense? I think that made sense. And finally, seek professional guidance. If you feel super lost, you have no idea where to start, just consider working with a fitness professional. They can help guide, motivate you, and help keep you accountable. Of course, they're not 100% necessary, but they really can help cut through so much of the friction. Okay, that's everything. A lot of working out just has to do pretty much with our emotions, our motivations, our feelings towards it. I remember when doing my yoga teacher training, my yoga teacher said that one can only effectively teach when the student is ready and comes seeking guidance. This, I think, rings true for the most part. While we can learn from fear, learning from passion, from positive emotions, from love, is much more impactful. So if you're interested in getting started in your exercise journey and you have no idea where to start, then head over to my other channel where I have a bunch of different yoga sequences and some exercise sequences coming soon. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I have linked a journaling exercise in the description with a bunch of stuff we mentioned in this video to help you figure out your why, to help you set smart goals, and a couple of the tips are also listed in there as well. And good luck on your fitness journey. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will try and answer them all. See you next time and good luck. Okay, you love your exercise, don't you? You're a border cow. Hey, remember when I mentioned you were on the right track when you clicked this video? It's not that boring, it's science, it's cool, you know? It's cool. So there's different stages of readiness, of